So this is another really important topic that I think is so crucial for people to understand to save them time from spending years in karmic relationships, because we all need karmic relationships to learn lessons. But I think that a lot of the lessons that we need to learn, everyone as a collective, is not to settle in love, to know what to look for in love. And I think that's why we come across the same karmic partners, because we don't know what to look for. So for example, self-love, fear, worthiness, all of these things we learn through the triggers that we experience in karmic relationships. However, when we get out of those relationships, we have to do the work on ourselves to heal that trauma, so that we attract in people that are aligned with the frequency that we strive to be and that we're on currently. So childhood trauma, all of these things we attract in karmic partners because we haven't learned lessons on an individual basis of what we need to heal. We haven't gone on that journey, so that's why we keep attracting the same karmic partners, a different vessel, but with the same problems. Same energy we keep aligning with, because we haven't healed the stuff individually, building that self-love, learning our worthiness, all of these things, so that's where we keep attracting that in. So even when we go on that healing journey and we develop self-love and all of these things, we still have stuff that we need to heal. We'll still have triggers. However, it's how we react in those situations of triggers. And we don't need to be completely healed before we come into contact with a soulmate or a divine counterpart, twin flame. We just need to be healed enough that we are aware of what our triggers are. We are aware that, hey, we need to take steps back, take some space before we're reactive towards that. So we'll still have triggers, but it's about being aware of our triggers and not reacting from an emotional place. You're going to feel the emotions. That's normal, especially if people have hurt you, especially if the trust was broken. You're going to feel triggers, but it's about not being reactive in those situations. Feel the emotion, take a step back, and then decide to respond or interact with that person when you've overcome that emotional stage, so that it's not attacking, it's in the best communication. So it's letting the emotion pass, thinking it through, and then talking to the person in a vulnerable state, but being like, hey, this is what affected me, this is why it bothered me, and not getting triggered by their response as well. Understanding and having compassion for what they went through and what they have to say and what their perception of the matter was. So it's just like literally it's always not reacting from emotional place, taking space, and then reacting from a place where you understand. And then choosing to have a conversation with the person where you can have compassion and see things from their side and have understanding. So it's just like, instead of looking at the person as your enemy and they're trying to hurt you, look at the bigger picture of the situation and try to put yourself in their shoes, so that you're not taking it so personal. And vice versa. They need to do the same for you if you want to have effective communication. So until you've done the healing and inner work on yourself, you're going to keep attracting karmics until you learn the lessons that you need to learn. The thing is, what I came on here to say to start with is that we are so brainwashed by society, what other people tell us, that what love is supposed to look like, what love is supposed to be. Like, even Love is Blind, for example, right? They go on these pods and they're trying to not go for their usual type, not go for the person that they have attraction with, chemistry with off the bat, but develop that compatibility, that intimate connection through conversations. So what they're doing on that show is they're getting people to first start off with the compatibility, start off as friends basically, right? Because in the real world, a lot of people get so blinded by chemistry that they don't dive in and ask these serious questions to know if there's compatibility and a sustainable life together. So that's why, yeah, the Love is Blind is good in that sense, where it gets you to ask the questions like, where do you see yourself living? How many kids do you want to have? What are your values? What are your views on life? Like everything. And then you can really be your authentic selves and make jokes and be silly and goofy, whoever you are. If you're serious, you're serious, because you're not blinded by the chemistry that makes you wear a mask and put the person on a pedestal because you're so consumed with the chemistry. Unless you've always been authentic self person all your life, no matter whether you have chemistry with someone or not, then you're going to feel these, like a lot of the time when we feel chemistry around someone and we don't have that compatibility yet because we haven't taken the time to get to know that person, we'll feel so nervous, we'll be on our best behavior, we won't know how to act completely ourselves because we want the person to look at each other in the greatest light. However, when you come to terms with who you are and you accept someone and you accept yourself, then you're not blinded by the chemistry. You're just being yourself because you're used to that. So what happens is they develop this compatibility, this friendship with this person, but yet when they go and they reveal each other and see each other for the first time, a lot of them don't feel that chemistry towards each other. So it's like what happens is that the relationships that do end up getting married and worked out is because they had that compatibility behind the wall, but then when they've met each other, they felt that intense chemistry. So it just shows you that everything is about chemistry and compatibility. Like that's the perfect experiment to show you that it needs chemistry and compatibility. That compatibility doesn't work because then you don't feel a desire to be with that person, to be intimate with that person, and you just see them as a friend. You have love for them, but it's more of a friendship love. But that's why it's like in society, they tell you to not get blinded by chemistry, but you still need to look for someone that has chemistry with you. You can't have love without the other. You need both for a relationship to flourish. If you just go after chemistry, you'll end up in heartbreak. If you just go for compatibility, you'll end up in heartbreak. You'll feel unfulfilled. You won't feel like your desires are being met. But if you go for chemistry, you'll feel that you're in this bubble where you can't be yourself. Like if you just go for chemistry, then you'll get caught up in putting the person on a pedestal and not really taking the time to get to know them to see, do you guys really align? Do your values really align? And then when you do actually get to know them and find out that, oh my God, we have nothing in common, or our values don't really align what we want for the future, then you end up feeling heartbreak because one of the people will either leave the situation and you'll still want it because you felt that chemistry.